Marine biologists and animal lovers alike have been left puzzled after orcas began intentionally capsizing boats off the coast of Gibraltar, with one recent video showing a killer whale destroying a boat's rudder. According to an ABC News report, at least 3 sailors have reported having their boats capsized by the animals. GTOA, a group that researches orcas in the region, says reports of these incidents have more than tripled in the past 2 years.
Scientists say the behavior likely began with just a handful of orcas and that other whales caught on through social learning. Now, as for why the orcas have picked up the habit is still unknown. One scientist told The Conversation that notions of, quote, collective self-defense in aquatic mammals are far from outlandish.
So one report pointed out that there was a killer whale known as white Gladys who got injured by a rudder. I didn't name Gladys.
Clearly not.
This is not a Karen story. This is a white Gladys story. Orcas have no race, Robby. Jeez, we got to do identity politics all the time.
Race, yes.
They're black and white, like Michael Jackson would have wanted.
Yeah.
So white Gladys apparently was a whale that was injured by a rudder, and some people think that this is a defensive response where they decided to just get rid of all the rudders, and then we won't have this problem anymore.
It's like her villain origin story or something.
Yes. In defense of white Gladys forever. So, this has taken the internet by storm. Leftists are loving this. They're saying the whales are orcanizing.
Stop.
Specifically because they keep going after yachts. I guess those are the boats that have rudders. I don't know. I'm sure there's some explanation for it other than class consciousness. But because they keep going after yachts, there is repeated kind of waves of trending online where leftists are like, where are they going to go next? I stand with the orcas. There was a news report yesterday that 30 orcas were spotted in Monterey Bay over the weekend with no clear explanation as to why they had gathered. I did a quick Google. Monterey home prices are among the most expensive in California and in the nation. It's also a military town, and maybe the orcas are also deeply invested in cutting military spending and stopping U.S. imperialism.
Wow.
Who knows what the orcas are all about?
Orcas. So they rarely harm humans. They're very emotionally intelligent beings. They're like, even though they're called killer whales, there's very little evidence that they've ever
harmed
any. It's a smear. They were smeared. Intelligent, playful creatures. Obviously, they can learn very well to do tricks and to do performances. That's why they're popular at SeaWorld or wherever that place is.
Well, increasingly unpopular in captivity, especially after that 2013 documentary Blackfish, which really highlighted how cruel it is to keep whales because of their immense emotional intelligence and their social behavior living in these large pods and migrating over large expanses of territory in small tanks and oftentimes solo or with maybe one other orca. That was an explosive documentary that really, I think, reframed how many of us saw orcas in captivity. That in combination with Free Willy, for those people in my generational cohort, really puts us on the side of big whale.
You're like one of the free the animals from the zoo people? I am deeply skeptical of, maybe it's true for orcas, but for a lot of animals that they'd rather be out in the wild where you can be torn apart by predators instead of in the nice zoo where you have a nice life and the people come to watch you.
You know this from talking to animals? You're Dr. Doolittle now? They told you how much they prefer
the wild is
the
bad.
San Diego
I don't
Zoo
know.
to the Serengeti.
Have you seen videos of like the buffalo or the gazelle or whatever being torn apart by lions?
Yeah, I grew up in Kenya. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Well, don't you think that it's a better life in the zoo?
No.
Okay, I absolutely. If I get transformed by an evil gypsy woman, turns me into like a goat or something, put me in a zoo. I don't want to go into the wild.
Okay, a goat,
I can't. I'm not going to make it in the wild. Okay.
Robby, a goat is a domesticated animal. I think it's not all animals aren't the same. Some animals, tigers, lions, whatever, they have thousands of miles on which they normally range in the wild and social habits that require large numbers of them. It's also true that not all zoos are made equal. Some do really have a lot of space for animals, and some animals don't need as much space. And all of those things are here or there. There's also an argument for conservation efforts that people are more likely to give and want to protect these animals if they are able to see them personally in an urban environment. Most people can't get on a plane and fly to Tanzania or whatever. So I think those are all arguments to be made. I'm not saying close down all zoos tomorrow, but with some animals like orcas, I mean, the intelligence gap between an orca and a goat or a marmot or something else, red panda that you would go see at a zoo. Also, there are things like pandas. The red panda
is the cream of the crop in terms of zoo seeing animals.
Sure, but the regular pandas, the orca-colored pandas, there's reasons to keep them in captivity because they're so stupid they cannot stay alive.
We have great pandas at the Washington D.C.
Yeah.
Zoo. They're the most boring creatures. They never move. They just eat bamboo. And the sign, I remember the sign is it's like, yes, they mostly eat bamboo. Their systems don't digest bamboo very well, and it'd be great if they preferred something else. But nope, they're just determined to eat bamboo.
Yeah, Darwin makes
Yeah.
God makes mistakes.
No, in the wild, they're clearly not meant for survival, but here we are keeping them alive.
Yeah.
And they have us to thank for it, and we keep giving them their plates of bamboo.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, there are arguments for
the animals
zoos,
can
but
suffer
with the
very
orcas,
badly in the wild and in zoos where they're well taken care of. I think that's...
As a libertarian, I did not expect you to be making the case that, hey, you can have all of your freedoms limited, and that's okay as long as it's keeping you safe. The nanny state is great if you're an impala.
But I don't. But I'm a libertarian. But I don't want to live in like a hunter-gatherer society where like I have to roam the streets of the wild and hunt for my food. I live in a house, like a nicely curated environment for myself. There's no reason to think animals wouldn't seek the same thing.
Robby, you are telling on yourself so loudly right now because the anti-libertarian argument is always libertarianism is great for people who have wealth and privilege and can wall themselves up in a castle with a moat and don't have to go hunter-gatherer. Don't have to do anything out in the world and can homestead. And everybody else is
Well, you don't have to be against civilization to be a libertarian.
Okay. Well, let us know what you think about the orca of it all. If you've had any experiences, close encounters of a white Gladys
Maybe this
kind.
is the beginning of the end of the world, like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, all the dolphins leave, so long and thanks for all the fish.
Yes, or
it's
Star Trek 4, where the future of this humanity rests on there being whales on Earth to communicate with an alien species.
Oh boy.
More Rising right after this.